let's talk about some principles of checkout. And there's actually 3 types of checkout that we want to kind of unpack and look specifically at those 3 types. But some overall principles. Number 1, eliminate surprises and lengthy fine print explanation. I see that all the time, JT. You have like little paragraphs with critical information, you know, for that. But nobody likes fine print, right? With the checkout, this is where it needs to just get you in the funnel, take you down buying street. You know, get their money. You know, you don't need to stop and go, okay, now wait a second. You thought you were home free, but now you got to read a novel about your shipping policies or whatever it is. You got to keep it simple. Otherwise, it's going to be regarded as surprises. If there's any kind of gotchas, that's going to contribute to cart abandonment. You know, you have to understand. I know Don didn't like my little drama thing here, but you got to understand that there's an emotional equivalent. Listen, buying is emotional. Sorry, Don Cole, but buying is emotional, and you have to understand that at the checkout, it is a very sensitive emotional aspect. You got to decide, am I getting this credit card out or not? You know, and if you put any kind of gotchas in there that make you think, what is this? This is kind of a bait and switch or whatever else it is, that can absolutely cost you the sale. So no surprises, no fine print explanations. Now, one of the things that I see almost every day, I know no hyperbole here, is people don't know where they're at in the checkout. You have no idea what's expected of you if you proceed down the checkout process. You don't know if you're looking at 7 steps, 8, 2, whatever it is. Now, sometimes, Tara, what I see is on the first page of checkout where the cart contents is, they won't have any kind of progress bar as you see here on Titanium Buzz.
Yeah.
But then when you get to step 2, then you see the progress bar. Well, I don't get that. I see that all the time. But step 1 is part of the process. You're evaluating what's in your cart and if you want to proceed down the checkout lane. And so that is a step. Don't bury it for the second step here. And that's why on Titaniums you say, look, step 1, here's your cart.
Yep.
You know, step 2, shipping and billing, and there is no step 3. We're just telling you that after you finish step 2, we're confirming your order. So in this progress bar, you're specifically delineating where people are at in the checkout. Let's go on. All right. Now, one of the main things you got to keep in mind, again, I hate to sound extremist here, but I see this all the time, JT, is the poor use of color in the checkout. I really think that a lot of merchants think that they put happy colors in their checkout. Not saying you should put morose, brown, you know, grimy Don Cole colors, but, you know, you still, I'm sorry, Don, that was a cheap shot.
It's all good.
You need to have certain colors for your call to actions, but look at this example that we put there, Don. I mean, it is like orange button overload. Like I'm having a vitamin C overload, you know, looking at these buttons here. I mean, you're looking at proceed to checkout, but all the other stuff is a big orange button, and that can really create kind of a visual paralysis. Going, all right, what do I click on to advance here? I don't know where I'm at in the cart. I don't know what steps that I'm looking at here. What are your thoughts when you look at this, Don?
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I look at. I'm sitting there going, okay, what do I hit? What do I click? I mean, you know, I know that generally it's sort of in the bottom right, but you look around and you're like, well, let's just make sure, let's reread all the buttons so I can be sure what I'm doing. And obviously now I've spent way too much time trying to figure it out, and you've lost people.
Right.
Well, and clear shopping cart is just as big as proceed to checkout.
It absolutely is.
It's not a button you necessarily want people clicking on.
Your eye attracts to like-minded objects, all right? So if you're seeing 2 buttons, same color, same size, your eye is thinking, okay, these things are similar. They have the same type of functionality, when clearly they don't. Now, Don, I have gotten into some, not literally, but some knockdown, drag-out fights with folks that have argued with me about enclosed checkouts versus non-enclosed. Now, let's unpack that, what that enclosed checkout means. So enclosed checkouts mean that you're limiting the amount of ways to get out of the checkout. Like in this example here, you see the search bar and the categories up there. Listen, you got to have the keep shopping button to go back, but I'm a big fan of limiting the ways that you can get out of the checkout, get out of that funnel. I don't want people to sign up for Twitter or, you know, go to your Facebook thing or sign up for your newsletter on your checkout. I want them single-minded on completing that checkout process, Don. And the opposite of that is obviously a non-enclosed, where you can create lots of different ways to jump out of the checkout. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree as well. My goal is you're on a cart. Let's get you through checking out. Now, obviously, they want to be able to go back and shop some more. You've got to continue shopping or something along that line. You know, I'm even fine with, you know, shrinking up the header some, getting a little more space or whatever. But the main thing is you want people sort of continue down that funnel. You don't want them climbing out of the funnel.
Right.
I mean, the moment I hit the cart, I'm thinking funnel. I'm thinking let's get them right on down all the way through the end of the funnel, not climbing back out to go do something else.
Absolutely. Tara, we had a question.
Yeah, we have a question. At what point, kind of already touched on this, but at what point in your cart through the checkout should you include or eliminate the search bar? Does the search bar kind of fall into the same category as everything else?
What do you think, Don?
I'm not totally fond of the search on checkout. It's not horrible to have it. One thing I've ran into recently has to do with Google Chrome and having, if your search isn't secure, you're going to get a warning message. That's a minor technical thing that people might want to know. I personally, it's not bad to have it, and if you're going to have something, I would almost rather have that than some of the navigation things like this. But I'm fine with it totally going away to get them, you know, once again to check out.
Right. Okay, good question. Thank you very much for that. Let's keep going. So one of the things you want to do is to boost confidence by addressing what your customer is concerned about, okay? And you have to really, you know, spend some time to break down what that means for your store. I mean, what works for another store may not be best for you. But, you know, a lot of folks are worried about, all right, well, how's this thing going to be shipped to me? What if I have a question? Is this site secure? Whatever it is, you need to address what's specific to your customer. Now, somebody may be thinking, well, isn't that clutter? You talked about the distractions and all that. It's not clutter unless it's needless. Okay, if it doesn't matter to your customer, then yeah, that could be regarded as clutter. But if it's something that your customer is concerned about or they need to have information about, put it there. Because listen, I'm an old school salesperson. I want to find what the objections are to completing the sale, and you counter the objections. And that's the point of including that, is countering objections that your customer may have about getting the credit card out. You also want to make sure that the shipping and coupon offers are clearly displayed. If people don't know where to enter the coupon code, or they have a question about shipping, that can be a put-off for them. Yeah, go ahead.
We have a question about promo codes in checkout. Okay. From Joe. He suggests that it might be an invitation for, I guess, unless the code's actually typed right there, for clients to bail and try to find a code. And I will say that when I'm shopping, sometimes if I see that there's an option for a promo code, I'll
where's the code? I need a code.
Yeah. Let me try to find a code.
Yeah.
Do you find that what are your thoughts on whether or not it actually distracts or from the checkout process?
What do you think, Don?
I've actually seen, I mean, it can, because I've done the same thing. I see, oh, there's an option for a discount. I go look in another browser and go see if I can find something. As you've got a chance of losing a customer there. I have seen some stores where they will actually, near the promo code box, put something along the line of, you know, need a promo code, and have a little pop-up that will give them something to give them something right then, so they feel like, oh, I got something. Obviously, you know, you're giving away a little something for that. But it keeps people from jumping away, you know, out of your site to go find something.
Right.
So it's certainly a risk, because if you've got it, you know, a promo code, you can always rename the field a little bit and make it seem a little less obvious. But either way, there's always a chance someone's going to skip out and try to find that discount, you know, coupon.
Real quick, as we're running out of time, Tara, let's talk. I want to mention that if you've got an account login, make sure that that's intuitively placed at the top. Same with the phone number. Make sure if people need to call you, they know where to get that number. They may not necessarily have to call you, but they need to know if they need to get a hold of you, it's there. It's a confidence booster. Yeah. Don, let's go real quick through your tips here for the checkout, including HTML5 tags, and then we need to get to the checkout types.
Yeah, just real quick. Reduce any unneeded fields. It doesn't have it here. A lot of people will put like company name because it's got an option to ask for it in your checkout. There's actually been tests shown that you can remove that and actually increase your conversion rate because people who aren't for a company, they stop and they're like, what do I put in there? I know you'd think they would just skip it, but they don't always. So if you don't need the field on checkout, take it out. The goal on checkout is simplify, simplify, simplify. There are HTML5 tags. It's a little technical. That will add previews. If you notice in the screenshot, it says full name, address, city, state, you know, phone number. You can fill those in so someone has an idea what they're typing in there. There's also with HTML5, there's some options for doing validation that happens in the browser. There are benefits to that, but there are certainly some drawbacks on certain types, so just be wary of it for things like phone numbers and zip codes. Some of the validation doesn't always work perfectly, and you don't want to stop someone from checking out when they put something right in. And then just one other little quick tip, when possible, not all these cards have these built in, but there are ways always to do this where you can have the credit card type auto-selected when someone's typing in the card number. You can tell by the card number what type of credit card it is. So there's no reason to make people do that extra step of putting it in and worry about mismatching. You know, I picked the wrong one, then I typed in the number and it errored back, and you can just avoid that entirely having to type in the card number. Those are just some quick little things that can be done real easily to really just make the process smooth and easy.
Right. Okay. Let's go directly to the, thank you, Don. Let's go directly to the checkout types. We have a question here from Katie who asks, who likes one-page cart or checkout as opposed to 2 or 3 pages? Thank you, Katie. And the answer is it depends, right? Tara, we have several. It does depend. So what we're going to do here is talk about multi-step versus one-page checkout versus accordion checkout and see what's right for your store and if it can even be possible with the type of platform maybe that you have. So with the multi-step checkout, JT, unpack that for us. What is a multi-step checkout? What are we looking at?
Multi-step is kind of like what we were talking about on Titanium Buzz, where you're breaking the individual steps. Well, into individual steps. So breaking up the like the cart contents. That's typically going to be your step 1. Your step 2 is going to be the shipping and billing.
Right. And so, as far as let's go back real quick. As far as why using it, why should you have a multi-step process? Well, if you have typically higher price point items and your customers could be overwhelmed at entering all this information in about a higher price point item, then the multi-step could be very useful for that. And it allows customers, like we're putting here, to absorb more info in more intervals. Now, obviously, Kevin, this is your site, and some of your items can be somewhat pricey when you're buying rings and all. What's your overall take on multi-step, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, my take on it is obviously, like I said before, our purchase, our customers buying a wedding band, it's obviously a bigger purchase, a little bit more expensive. And for us, the way we look at it is it's a custom wedding band as well. So you're talking about sizes, you're talking about width, finishes, you're talking about engraving details. It gives us and the customer a chance to look it all over, make sure they've got everything exactly what they want, because once we get started on a wedding band for somebody, there's not really much going back unless they catch the error right away. So it gives them the added security of looking everything over one more time before they hit that final button.
Right. And Kevin, is it fair to say that, I mean, I'm sure you have a pretty wide audience in terms of age, but would you say that you have at least a significant amount that's older, maybe a little less technical? What's your take?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously with younger people getting married, our demographic can go all the way up. We get a lot of people that are always, replacing a wedding band or upgrading at some point too. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if like the demographic always is an older demographic that understands the 2-page checkout a little bit better or not. I mean, I think it's a preference thing, and just for us, it really just makes more sense for us to do it.
Right, and if you've got somebody with, if price is not an issue, Tara, if they're used to shopping, they shop all the time, they may want to zip through the checkout fairly quickly. And so that leads us up to the next one, which is the one-page checkout. JT, unpack this for us. What's a one-page checkout?
All right, so the one-page checkout is basically all the content, all the information, all on one page. So you're going to start out at the top. You're going to have your cart contents, and then directly below that, you're going to see that shipping and billing information.
Right. We can go to the next slide, Tara. So, again, if you've got lower price point items where you're not going to be overwhelmed by having to get all your shipping and your billing information, you're not given reasons why not to buy this expensive item. You just want to get in and get out of this. Or you're dealing with very web-savvy customers who are used to checking out. They just want to put all the information, get in, get out. Or if it's primarily mobile shoppers, if you have a tremendous amount of mobile shoppers, then it may be best to maybe consider less steps or maybe a single step for the checkout. It's something you definitely want to evaluate. But like I said, it can overwhelm customers that don't want to put all that information out, especially for a higher price point item. What do you think, Tara?
I agree. We actually have a question from Mike that kind of ties into this. Mike Brighton.
Mike Brighton. Thank you, Mike.
He wants to know about one-click checkout using PayPal, or I see Amazon now.
Right.
How does that play into the one-page, multi-page checkout?
I'll let Don answer that. Don, what are your thoughts?
You know what, the single-click checkout, the easy checkout. Obviously, if you've got an option to have a login to your account and you can make something like that, where either through a PayPal or Amazon or whatever, that can be quick and fast, those generally actually do work fairly well. But the main thing is that they've got to have an account set up wherever, and so for that customer that wants to do it quick, it can be a benefit. And login that can autofill anything during checkout is a benefit, honestly. Even if it's not a one-click, if it can, if it's multi-page, but it's filling out the info for them, it's helping them out. One thing I do want to mention real quick, that I wanted to say about the one page versus two, no matter what you do, make sure that your shipping costs and any other extra costs are made visible. I've had some stores where they have a one-page checkout, you pick your shipping type, but you don't see how much it is, and you basically commit the order, and you don't even know until you've sent the order how much your final cost is. So just want to toss that out there.
That also applies to PayPal, right? I've seen that a lot, Don, when somebody goes through the PayPal option and they come back to the store, it may not be clearly laid out, and sometimes there's a surprise on, wait a second, that's more than what I thought it would be.
Yeah, and that's just really important to do, because otherwise you get a lot of complaints that, hey, I didn't know, and other people will see it and won't know, so certainly at least show it.
Right. And the third step, third type rather, is accordion checkout. And Derek from Cyclops Vapor, this is actually his site. Now, Kevin's is on Yahoo. It's a Yahoo store, and Derek's is a BigCommerce store. And BigCommerce can feature this accordion checkout. And really what you need to know with that is it's kind of a hybrid, right? It's a combination between the one page and multi-steps. It has the multi-steps, but it's all laid out on one page here. So before going any further, Derek, what's your take on the accordion before I go into any of the points here?
We were previously on our website that we originally launched with, we had kind of it was like I don't know if you call it a multi-step or a multi-page. It was a WooCommerce WordPress nightmare, and when you guys set us up with this one, it was so much better and more efficient, because that was our focus, was getting this set up so that you could just kind of stream right through it. I really want our customers to be able to shotgun to checkout and get their order confirmation, and that basically does that. We haven't had any issues. Our conversion rates have really honestly doubled since we use this type of checkout process. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's good to know. And here I've got the first point for stores offering mid to high price point items. That's not always the case. I mean, you can put a low price point item and it works perfectly fine. But in terms of when it's largely a benefit, that's important to keep in mind. And like I said, low average order volume. If you're just ordering onesies and twosies for products, that's always good. And it's a good range of shopper profiles. It can sometimes be a drawback when you don't have clear call to action buttons. We talked about the CTAs earlier. If that's not clear, that can be a really big killer in terms of cart demand and how that's affected. And sometimes the first page of checkout is not treated as a progress bar. We talked about that, where when you first get into the checkout funnel, you don't actually see these steps until you progress into the checkout. That can be somewhat confusing for folks that are using the accordion. So that's something you definitely want to be mindful of, and it gets you into that surprise element we were talking about earlier, Tara. That's always something you want to be wary of. Okay. Right. We actually have a poll here. Which types of checkout people are using?
Since checkout types are so specific to different stores, we kind of wanted to demonstrate that through the poll. You guys want to fill in what type your store uses?
Okay, let's see what the results are. Whopping 73% multi. That doesn't surprise me though, JT. I mean, that's typical of what we see in the types of stores that they're needed. Don, does that surprise you at all? The kind of the whopping runaway there?
It doesn't surprise me, and honestly, if I was to ever, just go, I'm going to pick a checkout to do and do one at random, and I'm not sure what's going to work well, I would probably go with a multi-step, because I feel like it's a less frightening process for a user than a single page. The single page definitely can be very beneficial to some stores, but if I didn't know how well it was going to do, I would certainly go with multi-step to start with. So
Very good. We are right at the 90-minute mark, and we wanted to do some site reviews, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time here. Let us know when you guys fill out the survey what your take is on the site reviews. If you'd like us to go longer, if you'd like us to do more reviews within this, we really want to be jam-packed here for you in terms of takeaways. And so we want to work for you guys, make sure this is a good use of your time. So let us know about that. I want to thank Derek and Kevin. Derek, give us your final thought on what you're seeing here for strategies that merchants need to take with their layouts, and I'll turn to Kevin. What do you think, Derek?
Well, I think the biggest thing when we're considering things like responsive designs is, you have to think mobile first. Trends are showing that a lot more consumers are getting mobile devices. I think it's something like 80% of people have a mobile device, and of those, I think it's over 50% now use it to do all of their searching, product reviews, and things like that. So when you're doing a design, that's really important, is to consider mobile and how it's going to look on that.
Right, and you're really glad you went responsive, I assume?
Yes.
And Kevin, you were a pretty early adopter on responsive. What are your thoughts on that in general and some of the concepts we talked about today for merchants?
Yeah, obviously when I jumped to responsive, it was like the unknown territory at the time, but I'm definitely glad we did it. I think for us, it really creates somebody that can just sit there on their couch, look at things, and maybe go to their PC to still buy. But overall, really, always constantly looking at setups of where you're at with item pages as well as your home page, and continuously strategize and make sure that you're always, putting money into your store in the right areas to make sure that, really the end customer results are going to show through when, you do get that awesome feedback from people when they see, that your site's working and people are telling you that, they love how your site is laid out and all that stuff. I mean, that's the best thing about, doing what we do all the time.
Right, absolutely. Kevin and Derek both have a ton of respect for you guys as merchants. You guys are great clients for the studio. I appreciate you coming on to EY Live today. Hope you'll come back again at a future installment. Don, thanks again. You are the smartest man in the world. I'm contractually obligated to say that each and every webinar here. And
I'm
guys,
sorry, I fell asleep there, Eric. Sorry.
And guys, if you do want your site reviewed, I'm pretty sure I can get Don out of bed to review that, or if you'd like me or JT to review your site, we definitely want to do that for you and get you the kind of information you need. Tara, go ahead.
Well, and we've had a few people ask about whether or not this would be available after. All of the webinars we've done this year are available on our website.